talk to the whole family. You don't always like the whole family. But what I'm trying to frame here, and you all know if you've been here for a while, I always like to frame things. I've been saying that forever. And I want to frame this in a very specific way because I've been hearing a lot of things and I'm on, YouTube and comment sections that you might not see me in. I am on Twitter lurking in places that you might not see me in. I am, I'm not on Facebook as much, right? I think Facebook is kind of going the way of the dodo bird. I don't know. But that's a whole nother conversation. But the point I'm trying to make is that I am around. And I'm around because I like to pay attention to what people say and I like to respond to concerns and issues. And you've had a lot of, well, why do we have to pay attention to the data? Why do we have to pay attention to a lot of things, the facts? Why do we have to pay attention to science? Why can't we just do whatever it is we do and we can mix and meet up and do all of that stuff? Why can't we just mix and meet up and network and isn't that what everybody else does? And why can't we do it that way? And I wanted to kind of address that with an article that came out. And I'm going to loop back in and do a little thing about track record so we all understand what the track record is right here. So let's just do this first. So there was an article that came out. It might have been today, and it says racist housing practices from the 1930s linked to hotter neighborhoods today. So what they did to our communities when they were redlined has led our communities to be hotter than other communities. Now let me tell you something, family. I just want to make sure we understand one thing. There are a lot of things before I even get started that you can tell me. You can lie to yourself. You can lie to me, and that's fine. But there are a lot of things you can tell yourself that you can outrun, that you can outwork, that you're going to be the one who escapes, that you're going to be the next whatever, that you're going to be the first black whatever. But I tell you what you can't do. You can't outrun climate and you can't outrun the sun. So let's talk about it. So what are they saying, Yvette, about what's going to happen? Well, let's just a few quotes, shall we? As we dive into this information. In a study of 108 urban areas nationwide, the formerly redline neighborhoods of nearly every city studied were hotter than the non-redline neighborhoods, some by nearly 13 degrees. Hotter. Heat hot. Redlining, for those who don't know, we've read The Color of Law and all these things. So, but for those who don't know, redlining refers to the federal government's practice in the 1930s of rating neighborhoods to help mortgage lenders determine which areas of a city were considered risky. The Federal Homeowners Loan Corporation made maps and shaded neighborhoods red that deemed hazardous. That risk level was largely based on the number of African Americans. Why do I always just stuff immigrants in here all the time? Like, okay, I'm not saying that that's a complicated story. The practice, along with the other segregationist housing policies of the time, had lasting effects, from concentrating poverty to stifling home ownership rates. That's what redlining did. That's what redlining was. So to put it in perspective, and we've talked about it here, but to put it in perspective, you could have a neighborhood you could have a white neighborhood that had people running around with switchblades, and that was still a good place that was still a backed mortgage. The government still did not redline that. That's a green neighborhood. You could have a black neighborhood that was like teachers and people who go to work, factory workers, and they would still redline that neighborhood. So it was just based on race. It was just locking us out of home ownership, locking us out of property, locking us out of wealth. That's just what it was. That's redlining in a nutshell. For those of you who may be new to the show, that's what it is. So let me bring this up a little bit bigger. In formerly redlined areas, Americans live with hotter temperatures. So I want you to look at this really quick before we take it off, and we're going to go to the chart that shows the temperatures and everything. but difference between average city temperature and average neighborhood temperature, neighborhood rating, and neighborhood temp on this side. Now, see, you see Portland there. Now, we're going to go to one other chart. Watch this real quick. The largest heat discrepancy. So you have Portland, Denver, Minneapolis, Columbus, Georgia, Jacksonville, Florida, East Hartford, Connecticut, Indianapolis, Roanoke, Virginia, and Philadelphia. Now let's find out a little bit more about this, shall we? You can still feel those effects literally. Nearly 90 years after those maps were created, red line neighborhoods are hotter than the highest rated neighborhoods by an average of almost 5 degrees. According to the research from Portland State University the Science Museum of Virginia and Virginia Commonwealth University. The link between higher heat and red line neighborhoods, many of which are still struggling economically from decades of disinvestment, echoes the findings of a joint investigation last September by NPR and the University of Maryland's Howard Center for Investigative Journalism. In an analysis of heat and income in 97 of the most populous U.S. cities, we found low-income areas in the vast majority of those cities were more likely to be hotter than their wealthier counterparts. Those poor, Crayola again, but those poorer areas were also disproportionately communities of color. Crayola. The extra heat can have dangerous and sometimes deadly health consequences. Extreme heat kills more Americans every year than any other weather-related disaster, and heat waves are growing in intensity and frequency as climate change progresses. Now, I want you to understand one thing, right? You can't see what people keep trying to tell us is that, Yvette, I don't need any kind of government. Now, understand that you're not begging government. You're a citizen. That's what citizenship should afford you. The fact that you go to work, pay tax, you get a W-2. I know you file taxes. I know you wait on your tax return, so I know you file taxes. And if you earn enough, you pay taxes. But citizenship, regardless even of that, citizenship affords all citizens a certain quality of life, or at least it's supposed to. So this hot boxing of our communities is a direct, like, remember what I always say, how you can always draw a line to slavery and everything that came from it. You can draw a line all the way from slavery to redlining to convict lease to all the way to the conversation we're having now. And there's no way to network your way out of that. I always said, people say, well, Yvette, you don't agree with black business. No, I said there's no black business without black politics. How do you all always get that wrong? Everybody got a listening comprehension problem. Well, she says she says she don't black business. No, I said you can't do it without good black politics, good ADOS politics. When I say black, I mean ADOS in the sense of what it means to come from slavery and accrue disadvantage. So let's just finish these last couple of quotes up really, really quick. The way cities are built often creates what is known as an urban heat island, meaning they tend to be hotter than their rural surroundings. That's largely because cities usually have more pavement and concrete, which absorb heat and release it slowly. They also tend to have fewer trees, which cool the air and provide shade. Cities in general are hotter, but green space and concrete are also aren't distributed evenly across an urban area. That can create micro heat islands within a city. In 37 cities around the country, formerly redline neighborhoods have about half as many trees on average today as the highest rated predominantly a white neighborhood on those maps. Now, family, there's a lot of things you can outrun, Or you can make yourself, I don't think there are a lot of things you can even, but there are a lot of things you can make yourself think that you can outrun. There are a lot of things that if you talk to yourself enough, if you puff your chest up enough in the mirror, you can make yourself think you can do it. Now, you ain't never done it because you can't fight systemic oppression with individual agency. Of course, some people will get away. You can, if you 6'5" and with dexterity and all that stuff, you might become a ball player, a basketball player. A genius kid might get away. But in terms of collective uplift, see, you were oppressed as part of a collective and made into a bottom caste as part of a collective. You don't turn that lock. You don't find a key for that lock as an individual. It's a collective lock. You need a collective key to unlock it. And you can't do that. I know good and well you're not going to outrun climate. And then how long we going to be running? Don't everybody get tired of running? We had the Great Migration. We had all these things. We just been running. Then we running from people trying to get, even before the Great Migration, think all the way back to slavery time. People running. You think all the way back to Reconstruction. White people coming, white mobs coming and stealing property, and we running. Don't everybody get tired of running? How much running is everybody going to do? Oh, I'm just gonna move from the city. I'd rather go fishing anyway. Just say anything. You can't outrun the sun. You can't outrun the climate. You can't outrun everything that's chasing you. You better turn around and face that dragon at some point and stop talking crazy and wild. Talking about you gonna go to a mixer. Anyway, we'll get to that in a second. In a little while. Not too long. But I just want to say this really quick. There is evidence. There is evidence that you can't outrun Mother Nature. You have to have all of the resources available to you, and you still might not make it when you come up against Mother Nature. But you need all of the wealth to be whatever you need to be in the best position. Because something very interesting happens if you're a bottom caste and you come up against Mother Nature and your country don't care about you. We've lived through it. Why don't we understand Hurricane Katrina? There is no better lesson. Unfortunately, and rest in peace to everybody who passed and everybody who went through it and still going through it. That was 2005. People still going through that. But that hurricane is no better evidence that you cannot run. Ain't nothing you can do when Mother Nature knocks at your door, and you are far worse off if you are left without resources. You may never rebuild. And that's exactly what we saw happen. You can say what you want. I remember Hurricane Katrina. I remember how many people remember watching that in the chat? How many people remember watching what happened? And let me just say this. Before we get into what was rebuilt and what wasn't rebuilt. You know, when we saw black people, right? Americans, when we saw ADOS people on top of rooftops and calling and begging for help, they were exerting their citizenship and the kind of disaster relief that is supposed to happen as part of that citizenship. Now, that's the job of government to provide disaster relief. For those of you who don't want to be bothered with government, just opt out and say if a disaster happens, you don't want no parts of it, you got a canoe. You're going to just deal with it. Because what you don't understand is that the government picks winners and losers, and there are some jobs that are only big enough for government to do. Government put us in this situation by everything from benign neglect to redlining, which is actually having a policy that put us on the bottom. But so you need government to show up. Right now we need government to show up for us, but the least you needed back then was for government to be fair, and it wasn't. Now let me tell you something. When you on top of a roof or dealing with whatever these people dealing with, I'm gonna tell you, all these people that you give money to in terms of for these crowdfunding stuff, they not coming to get you. I don't care what you say. Tariq Nasheed ain't got no helicopter, and ain't none of these people. Boyce Watkins ain't got no plane. He ain't got no medical supplies. He ain't got no National Guard. He don't got none of the stuff that you need if you need help. So at a certain point, you just got to stop being stupid. Those of you who are running around saying you can do it for yourself, you don't understand government. Take a few years off and just read. And anybody who tells you that you shouldn't read, you have to understand that people who tell you to be anti-intellectual and to not bother with books, people who tell you to do that telling somebody to be stupid is a recipe to take advantage of that person. It's not a recipe to empower that person. So people who are telling you don't pay attention to data or books or politics, they're trying to disempower you. And you got to ask yourself why. Why is this person trying to noodle black politics? Ask yourself that. And understand something. What you have to understand is that black New Orleans never recovered. Never recovered. To this day, hasn't recovered. And it can happen anywhere when we talk about these hot boxes or heat islands or whatever you want to call them. You talk about people having strokes. We already stressed. You know what? The last thing you want when you stress, if it's for it to be extra, extra hot. And there's nothing. So you tell them I got to be hot. I got to live with. Wait a minute. I got to live with the consequence of this redlining. And what ADOS is offering me is to be a part of a collective movement that seeks to undo that and transform us into real citizens. And what this other thing is doing is offering me a meetup and a mixer to get it popping. What do you choose? How is it hard? But if you doubt that New Orleans, that didn't, let's talk about what happened. Let's just talk about it, because too many people seem to have forgotten Hurricane Katrina and what it did and what government does and the need for government. So let's just talk about it just for a little bit. 96,000. That's how many fewer African Americans are living in New Orleans now than prior to Hurricane Katrina, which made landfall. This was 2016, this article was written, which made landfall 11 years ago today. Nearly 1 in 3 black residents have not returned after the storm. Think about that. On the east side, they might have shot footage of the 7th Ward, a black working class community that was still only around 60% rebuilt a decade after Katrina. They could have gone to Pontchartrain Park, a black middle class community that actor Wendell Pierce, who had grown up there, dubbed a Black Mayberry. Pontchartrain Park was doing no better than the 7th Ward. Or they might have reported from New Orleans East, a black professional class neighborhood, still pocked by boarded up strip malls and abandoned businesses. It is maybe 80 to 85% rebuilt 11 years after Katrina. Most shocking, in the lower 9th Ward, where the average resident was living on $16,000 a year before the hurricane. You can still drive blocks there and not see a single home. The neighborhood is still missing more than half of its pre-Katrina population. Right? Hold on one second. Okay. Katrina was not an equal opportunity storm. Now hold on. Hold on. I want to park that. I want you to think about that. They said Katrina was not an equal opportunity storm. See, people love to think of what a storm, that's the same thing where they're white poor people too. Well, look at concentrated poverty and come back to me. Because what happened to white people versus black people as a result of this storm is particularly interesting. It's not just a storm and Mother Nature impacts everybody. So let's finish this quote really quick. A black homeowner in New Orleans was more than 3 times as likely to have been flooded as a white homeowner. That wasn't due to bad luck. That wasn't due to bad luck. Because of racially discriminatory housing practices, the high ground was taken by the time banks started loaning money to African Americans who wanted to buy a home. So wait a minute. By the time y'all got around to loaning us, by the time you got around to loaning money for we can buy a house, right? By the time we got around to buying houses, all the good property gone. Is that what you're telling me? By the time we get around to owning some stuff, okay, they finally, well, that's what they like to tell us, right? They done changed the law. We can do it now. Huh. But by the time you get around to me, I gotta stay in this little flood area. This is where I gotta be in this little flood area now. By the time you get around to me, but no, you should have fixed that. I don't care. See, we don't want to dispel people. Y'all gotta make some of these people move out of this land because it's unfair how they got here. Or you gotta strip everybody of everything and start over. I don't care. Figure it out. But I can't be made to live here. We already a bottom cast, and now that I have access to a mortgage, I got to live here because they already got it up there, and so now I'm flooded and I'm running, and the hurricanes. So but it gets worse. It gets worse. Just people who think they can run from the weather and run from climate and just pay attention. Nor has New Orleans experienced an equal opportunity to recover, in no small part because of the white civic leaders who openly advocated for a white, wealthier city. While water still covered most of New Orleans, Jimmy Reese, a prominent local businessman and then head of the Business Council, told the Wall Street Journal that the city would come back in a completely different way. Demographically, geographically, and politically, or he and other white civil leaders would not return. The money ain't coming back. If y'all let all these Negroes come back or they try to come back, the money ain't coming. We're not doing that no more. Ain't that something? And there was nothing. Understand that that's a moment. Understand that that's a moment where you could put something in place and say, we're going to have this much. This is what government could have done. We're going to have this much affordable housing. Okay, if you don't want to come, we have other business that'll come here, but we're still going to have this much affordable housing. We're still going to put stuff in place. No, they gave him what he wanted. He said, no, I don't want these people here. We're gonna be different. We're not going to have all that. The storm finally got rid of people we want to get rid of. Just a couple more. Now, New Orleans no longer has a public hospital, though prior to Katrina, it was home to the nation's oldest one. Before the storm, the city was home to thousands of units of affordable housing and a quarter of the housing projects locals, called the Big Four. Large portions of the Big Four had escaped with little or no water damage. Yet elected officials chose to bulldoze all four anyway. So the affordable housing, the projects, they weren't even really damaged that bad, but they tear them down anyway because ain't nobody gonna be here to live in them. We're getting rid of these people. The largest housing recovery program in U.S. history, Road Home, was created in the months after Katrina. But the money was dispersed based on the appraised value of a home rather than the cost of rebuilding. Even though a home in a white community was typically appraised at a far higher price than the same house in a black community. Think about that. 5 years after the storm, a federal judge sided with black homeowners in a racial discrimination suit against the program. But by then, officials had already spent more than 98% of the $13 billion that the federal government had committed to Road Home. So you file a lawsuit, but that's they good at waiting us out. We file a lawsuit, they keep it in court and court and court. When we finally win, they out of money. Ain't that something? You finally win and you out of money. Well, you're right. We should have did it like that, but we ain't got no money. We done spent all the monies. So here's what we're left with. The child poverty rate in New Orleans is now 40%. That's higher than it was before the storm, and more than double the national average. The income disparity between rich and poor is so great that last year Bloomberg declared New Orleans the country's most unequal city. And it's hardly just the poor who are suffering. The median black household in New Orleans in 2013 was $30,000, making $30,000, $5,000 less than it was in 2000, adjusted for inflation. By contrast, the median household income in the white community increased by 40% over the same period and now stands at more than $60,000. You cannot outrun the weather, and you cannot outrun a government that doesn't care about you. There is no way, if we even after winning that loss, they gave all the money away, right? The government should say, well, we have to make up the discrepancy. They were doing it wrong. We have to allot more money to make up for the discrepancy. So if you got $50,000 for your house and we found it takes $80,000 to rebuild, the government has to put some more money in that pot to make up for that discrepancy so that you can rebuild. But who on a mass level? I'm not talking about just some activists, and respect them all in New Orleans or wherever, but on a mass level, were we advocating for something like that? Do we even know about it? And if we're not going to see stories like that, and do something about them and advocate on behalf of them, and understand that government was holding millions of dollars. They gave billions to rebuild Road Home. And they cheated ADOS who were there. Understanding in terms of our wealth level, that matters. When the government has a bunch of money to give away and it starts giving it away, that's why we don't have black farmers. Department of Agriculture, you need loans and crops, you need all kinds of stuff. And they said no. What's the whole thing? Remember when they were just recently, they were giving the black farmers the bad seeds? Are we going to advocate for any of that or not? Are we just going to do a mix of a network? I'm just trying to find out what everybody wants to do. Because if you want a network, I need you to stand on that. So if you want a network and then you try to do something and you get cheated, don't come to me or any other ADOS person later on who was trying to do the real thing and say, well, I know we disagreed, but y'all was about that politics and, y'all might have had a point and I need some help. And no, get off my stoop. I don't want to be bothered. No, we have laid out a very clear case. Government is out here giving out all kind of money. But when it gives out money to everybody except you and me, what does that look like for us? It looks like wealth just dropping and us just running from hurricanes. We're running from white supremacists. We're running from everything. We can't keep running. At a certain point, we have to stand together and advocate for a specific agenda. And we have to tell Democrats, if you don't give us that agenda, you might lose the White House. You very well might, because you're not going to get our vote, because we're not doing this. We're not doing this well. We just got to get Trump out of there. Oh, Lord. Y'all done told us that how many times? You got to vote for Obama again. You can't let Mitt Romney get in there. Oh, Lord. Oh my God. You gotta vote. Well, don't worry about the agenda. You gotta vote for Gore. You don't want George W. Bush to get in there. Oh, Lord. But in the midst of all of that, there is no substantive black agenda. There's no reparations agenda. In fact, when Bill Clinton got in there, he threw us to the wolves to chase white votes. Now, either, listen, this is the moment that we're in. Either we're going to do something about it or we're not. And if we're not, everybody got to let me know. I see ADOS working, and then I see a whole nother group of people. I see ADOS working. I see another group that's real silent and just on the fence trying to see who wins. Then I see another group that wants to go and flip $100 and make $100 $1,000. And I'm going to flip that $1,000 and make that $1,000 $10,000. You see? You understand the plan? What plan? That's not a plan. And in case you missed it, in the height of income inequality, even that $10,000 ain't no money. Have you checked out Jeff Bezos? Anybody? Yeah, I checked him out, Yvette. I'm going to be just like you. That's what I'm going to do. Woo. Some of y'all. Woo. It's hard to love them sometimes. You try. Woo-wee. They're going to fix the sun. Wow. I ain't got to live there. It's going to be hot there. That's not the point. Who walks away thinking that's the point? You have to exercise your right as a citizen. A lot of people ain't going to come. Only government can do certain things. Judge Joe Brown ain't coming either. Ain't none of these people coming. All these people living all these little comfortable lives ain't coming. They ain't coming. They're not coming. I'm just telling you, got to choose. You got to choose. And let me just say this while we're talking about it. Let me just say something. I just want to backtrack just a little bit. Because people be like, well, maybe you're wrong, Yvette. You know, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, got a point. And you might not be right. You and Tone, y'all sometimes, you know, I don't know whether y'all be right or y'all be wrong. Well, just go. Not, nobody's right all the time. Right? But do us a favor. Do us a favor. Please go back and just revisit some of our videos. We've been pretty right. I said stuff about Kamala Harris, and so did Antonio Moore. We predicted all of this stuff well before. What she was going to try to do, how she was going to try to do it, and that came to pass. We were right. The whole Bitcoin, we predicted that what Kamala was going to do. We predicted the Bitcoin thing too. All the while you had Boyce Watkins and you had you had all of these people who were talking about it's a craze and this is how you're going to build wealth. Boyce was talking, he was selling classes. You don't hear about them Bitcoin classes no more, but he was selling classes. This is another way to get wealth. And don't listen to the negative naysayers. They don't know what they're talking about. I got people here that's giving me the inside scoop. He had all these people. These people are giving me the inside scoop on Bitcoin. I know the Bitcoin. I'm gonna teach you about Bitcoin and we're gonna make a bunch of money. Where are the bunch of money stories at? Where the millionaire roll? Because that's what he said. Right? Isn't that what he said? We're gonna make a bunch of monies. All the monies. There was another little Negro who was on who was always selling BitConnect, and that was a Ponzi scheme. And Boyce said, well, I didn't invest in that little thing, but I put a little money in it just to see. Because BitConnect wasn't Bitcoin. BitConnect was a whole scheme, allegedly. But it just got shut down, and people lost everything. And we said at the time, stay away from this. This stuff be complicated. A lot of times it be a bunch of sharks that are leading the small fish in. And the sharks are making big money with all this Bitcoin because they got it in 10 years ago. They done made that money. Now they're going to create a craze and lead the little minnow fish in just so they can eat them. Stay away. I don't hear nobody talking about it no more. Well, when else were you right, Yvette? Well, didn't we tell you all about, before y'all was telling us that Meghan Markle was going to be a princess and everything was going to be fine and she's our princess and we're proud of her and it's going to be wonderful. Well, now she's running and they got to leave and somebody came to an event wearing a monkey chain on their neck and poking fun and all kinds of stuff. But no, she was going to be a princess. I thought what happened? What happened to the princess, though? Y'all told me she was going to live happily ever after, did you not? Did you not? You got to count. You just got to count. You just got to count. Hold on, I'm bringing up one other thing. Y'all said she was, you don't know, she gonna be happy, and all the black people showed up celebrating. Now she running. Running. Well, why she running? Racism, sounds like. Y'all just being so negative. Why y'all being so negative? And I really want y'all to run check on this. I don't hear nothing about the dividends. Was anything paid out yet? Are we gonna go back and just see? Let's just see what it is. No, we finna make money. No, I don't see it yet. I don't see what you're telling me. I just, even with the shoes. Oh, we got big things about the shoes and LeVar Ball gonna do the shoes, and you talking to the shoe thing. You saying that the shoe idea, Antonio so negative. He said the shoe idea wasn't gonna work. No, Antonio said it's a micro loan. And a donation is not a business because the distribution and the networks are already set up, and he's trying to go. Do you hear anything about the shoes lately? What about the shoes? See, because we've been right a lot. And that's not any way to toot any kind of horn. I'm not an arrogant person. I'm just saying. You have to kind of look back on that and say, well, I have to pay attention to this. Because they do have a really good track record, Yvette and Tone. And that's not the only thing I'm right about. I guarantee you, I'm right about a lot of stuff. And, and that's not because of any kind of magic or anything like that. That's just because of research and data. Ain't no magic wand, ain't no magic ball. It's just, you just look into the research, look into the data, and it kind of paints a picture. It projects, it suggests a future. It suggests how something is going to turn out. LeVar Ball didn't have any of the distribution of an Adidas and Nike, and this ain't the time where those come. He's not white during that era trying to do it. He's now. So we don't have those shoes. And, I don't like to talk about it, and I wish I didn't have to. But I'm right about this too. I'm absolutely right about this. I would bet money that I'm right about this the foundational Black American Conference. There is no such a thing. But I bet good money, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. First of all, let me just put this up in the corner. Hold on a second. Cute flyer, though. It's just don't mean nothing. I don't know whether you want to call this the Pan-Africanist mixer or the Pan-Africanist conference, or I don't know what you want to necessarily call this. I don't know. The only thing I know is that we actually undercharged at our conference, which was $15. Undercharged. We didn't charge enough, and so those tickets are going to have to go up because we didn't charge enough, right? Because we wanted people to get the information. But we didn't do a crowdfunding for it. The ticket is the ticket. The ticket is the ticket. We did not... See, we did not raise $120K. Oh, let's do pocket watching 101. Pocket watching. Yes, because pocket watching is really accountability. That's why people try to make it look like a negative thing. Because they don't want you to look at the pockets. Because then you see that somebody's pocket's getting full and somebody's getting pickpocketed. So let's not look at these pockets. So we undercharged for our event, but it was a day and a half. It was full day Friday, and it lasted about 1 on Saturday. And that was $15. Had Congressman Marion Williamson, Dr. Carnell West, and some other speakers as well. And a day and a half. Right? Now, I want you to understand something. Pay close attention to this flyer. And one of the things you have to start doing is paying attention to what is being said as well as what is not being said. Don't just pay attention to what is being said. Pay attention to what is not being said. This thing says conference. Does it not? It says conference. But then it says Saturday. Pay attention. It says Saturday. Now that's one day, right? That is one day. Now I want you to look at something else. It says Saturday. That's not a whole day though. A half day conference would be starting at 1 p.m. That would be half a day. If you start at 1 p.m., that's a half a day. I ain't never heard of a half a day conference, but whatever. He's starting at 3. A 1 day. So you have what is that? You're going to have a 4-hour conference or a 5-hour conference? I don't know how long it starts. I don't know how long it takes. Then you have, this is not even on the flyer, but you basically create a caste system. See, ADOS is about a collective. We're all in this together. We have no levels. He got levels for you to meet him, the meet and greet, levels for you to take a picture, all kinds of different levels of ways to make money and extract and replicate whiteness and replicate how they do things at the Foundational Black American Conference. And let me just say this. I don't know if y'all remember, for our first inaugural conference, we gave away the first 150 tickets. So the first 150 were given away. So because of the low cost and then giving away tickets, we undercharged everything. But still, even going up in ticket price, we will never be able to match this. Now let me just say something. This conference, I don't know how long it is. He should tell y'all how long it's going to be. But it might be just 3 to 6. That might be how long it is. Y'all need to have him tell y'all how long this thing is going to be. I don't know how you be FBA and you don't demand any accountability about anything. Somebody calls it a Pan-Africanist pep rally. But what it looks like to me is a meet and greet. Now, let me tell you something. Let me tell you the difference between me and the person who is doing this conference. I respect my people too much to have y'all fly across the country, pay for accommodations at a hotel or Airbnb or however you staying. I respect y'all too much. And I respect your dollar too much to have y'all fly across the country, spend all that money, and only have 4-5 hours. Maybe only 3 hours, but I don't know. He didn't put it on there. He just said starts at 3. Either way, that's less than half a day for a conference, because it don't say Saturday and Sunday. It says June 20th. That's 1 day. 1 day from 3 to 6 or 3 to 7, even 3 to 8. That is a meet and greet. A meet and greet with no food. As far as I know, is he gonna food? He's gonna feed y'all? I don't see it on there. I don't see it don't say hors d'oeuvres, or as Red Fox used to say, horse divers. It don't say nothing on there. What you gonna do in them few hours? And don't tell me, well, Yvette, the venue's expensive, so he couldn't do it. I bet you that venue ain't $120,000, and then he's still gonna charge for tickets and all that upsell and stuff, right? I know it ain't that much, and even if it was, you know what you got to do if you want to lead a community? Here's a pro tip, Tariq. You got to build relationships. So if it's too expensive, you're going to have to find somebody who has a different venue or a better venue. You might have to research. You might do some other stuff, but you have a responsibility to give people what they expect, which is a real conference. And this Playboy, that ain't it. This is a finesse. You're going to pay a few people to come through here, pay for their flights and give them $500 or whatever you gave people, just like you gave them for your documentaries, and get them out of there, and you're going to keep the bag. Now, let me just say as I end this is, it bothers me because, FBA people, for 5 minutes, don't say FBA. There is no FBA, because FBA was anchored in ADOS and all of our data and what we put together. So there is no FBA. Tariq Nasheed supporters. Forget about how you feel about me or Antonio for 2 minutes. I look at this and I want to say to you, as people who support Tariq Nasheed and all he does, y'all don't ever do anything but show support for that man. When he says, I need 200,000, y'all find 200,000 out of nowhere. Y'all may take your child support money, whatever. I don't know. You all find whatever money he needs for whatever. You show up for him all the time. So as people who support this man, the way that y'all support this man, let me just say to you, you deserve better. That's all. You deserve better than these 3 to 6 or 7 hours that he's going to give you. And he may not even talk to you because you're not in the VIP section. And you coming across country to support this man. You deserve better. You deserve better leadership. You deserve somebody who thinks highly of you and wouldn't let you come around just for a few hours and you got to leave. And that's just a mixer. You deserve more than a mixer. He promised you a conference and he's giving you a mixer. He's giving you a meet and greet. He promised a conference and he's giving you a meet and greet. Forget about me. Forget about Antonio. Just think about the fact that you deserve better than this. And sometimes if you don't judge how you feel, you can really assess the feeling. Like, just take all the judgment away. Don't think about you got to take sides, or just think about this. Just think about this man is having you fly across the country for less than half a day. Like, what do you have to think about the people who follow you to do that? Like, Antonio and I, when we did the ADOS conference, it was like a 45-minute sitting period where people have to sit and get situated. So knock that right out the box. Because people are going to see each other and recognize each other. Hey, I know you. Da, da, da. That's 45 minutes out the box. How do you have a conference during dinner time and not give a free or low-cost dinner? We gave a low-cost lunch, just sandwich and chips, $10. Sandwich, chips, I forget what else. It might have been a cookie or something. I don't know. But for $10, low cost. Because there are no sitting restaurants in Louisville anyway. But you can't go out of the world. I don't know how many of you have been here. You can't go out and find. That's not how you do it. You have to, especially when your conference is only 4 hours. You can't go nowhere and get no food. How do you have a meet and greet during dinner time and not provide food? And if there's food, it would be on there. Where's the food at? So either it ends at 6 because you're trying to avoid dinner, right? Either it ends at 6 because you're trying to avoid dinner, or you're just not giving dinner. Now, we've been talking about reparations for ADOS all this time, and you went and did a foundational Black American conference with like a Pan-Africanist theme. And Boyce, who hates ADOS. Where are the reparations speakers? This is a finesse. I don't understand. And you deserve better. I may not like you. You may not like me. That's fine. We don't have to like that. But you deserve better than this. And you should demand better than this. You gave him 120. Like, you should ask him, like, they gave Yvette $15 and Yvette and them didn't charge enough. They went in the hole. But why can't you charge $50? Why can't you just charge 75? You already did 120K fundraiser, and you charging people who didn't pay in the fundraiser. You charging the people who didn't participate in the fundraiser. Why can't we have better than this? You said it was going to be popping. You said you was going to do reparations and you was going to talk about a black agenda. Well, Boyce doesn't believe in that. Boyce is a bootstrapper. Boyce is a do-for-selfer. Doesn't make sense. This is an, it's Black Authority. Jason Black gonna be there. I heard his voice is gonna be there. I heard he's gonna be there as a phantasm. And let me just say this last thing before I go. The thing that people, and somebody said this online today, and I just want to give people something to think about. Somebody said online today something that was very interesting, and I thought I would just give you something to think about, because one of the criticisms that we get all the time is that, well, Yvette, Tariq was always down with y'all until Antonio criticized him, and then Well, Tariq can't take criticism. That's some child stuff. Let that go. But it's one of the things that was interesting that was brought up is that, like, y'all remember, well, Talib Kweli, bless his heart, he still goes with us all the time. But something I didn't realize is that Tariq, he came at me and Antonio and said they don't like immigrants and all this stuff. And that's not true. We talk about a specific justice claim that's just for ADOS. But one of the most interesting things that somebody pointed out to me, and I stopped following Talib Kweli or Kweli, whatever. I stopped following him like when he went crazy. When he first started going at me, I blocked him and moved on. I didn't realize that, like, even though he was going at me for being ADOS and all this stuff, he never went at Tariq. And Tariq never went at him. You all noticed in that video where Tariq said, F everybody who don't like ADOS, he still never said Talib's name. And he refused to say it. He never clowned him or anything. And somebody pointed out to me that, like, Talib Kweli always kind of clowned us, like he knew that Tariq was never coming at him. I just want to put that out there. He said, so I guess you missed Tariq now also believes ADOS is trash. If you notice, he never said my name in that video, and he's now retweeting ADOS is trash. So now he talking about himself in that video. You played yourself. I knew people would start seeing the real. Every day, dozens of people beg Tariq Nasheed to attack me. They literally hear crying about, I can't wait until Tariq roasts Talib, because he roasts everybody, right? Why wouldn't he roast us? He'd be making Muppets and all kinds of stuff, right? Talib dared him to say anything, and Tariq never did. Tariq never challenged this man. He never does. Why? Because whether he and listen, this is the tale. You got to sometimes watch for the tale. He says, because whether we agree on every issue, we don't. How do you know that y'all don't agree on every issue if y'all ain't had a conversation? Because I know for a fact that Talib was DMing every black blue check and saying, don't retweet ADOS. I know that for a fact. But he never does. Why? Because we agree on, whether we agree on every issue, we don't. He doesn't see me as anti-black. Does that make you cry? And now you start to see the Black Authority and Talib Kweli are sharing the same talking points about, oh, they're just trying to finesse. They're trying to make money off an app. We ain't put no app up. We ain't did none of that stuff. The most we did was sell a t-shirt. And I've been in this space for 10 years and I sold a t-shirt. But they using the same talking points. Makes me kind of think, because we've never been xenophobic. Tariq has. He says stuff like, oh, look at this immigrant. He killed his wife or something. We like, what is that? Are you crazy? What's wrong with you? We're talking about a justice claim that's just for us and nobody being able to mask our failure in terms of immigration. We're not anti-immigrant. He has said some stuff, but it's funny, Talib never goes at him like that. And now they're both making the same they're making the same arguments, almost as if it's coordinated. He told somebody else. He said, Tariq Nasheed doesn't troll me, you do. Tariq can't save you. And I never noticed. I can't see this because I blocked Tariq, and this comes from my Twitter. But like, this is from February of 2019, while he was trashing me and ADOS, Talib Kweli was retweeting Tariq Nasheed. See, I put this all before you, ladies and gentlemen, to say one thing. This whole thing that you have laid out, that Tariq was always in favor of us and we just messed it up, that's not the truth. Doesn't appear to be the truth. What appears to have happened is that Tariq and Talib made a gentleman's bargain. You keep my name out of your mouth, I'll keep your name out of mine. I'm in favor of Talib, I'm in favor of Kamala. Tariq, you ain't. Okay. But we both agree that ADOS needs to go. And then maybe, who knows, but maybe the agreement was when ADOS falls apart or when I kill it, then you can take it over. You a good brother, I trust you. We don't know. The only thing we do know is that he was retweeting Tariq. Talib was Kweli, whatever, Kweli, whatever the hell. He was retweeting Tariq when he was trashing me, right? And Tariq ain't never make no doll. He ain't never make no puppet. He ain't never make nothing. He just got over there and shut up. Which would make sense. He's very deferential to celebrities. Go look at any celebrity interview that Tariq Nasheed has ever done. Go look at the Dame Dash one. Oh, what y'all did? Y'all was over there? Tell me about them years over there. And don't tell me that's a good interview. That's not how you do a good interview. You didn't press him or anything neither. Well, what did y'all do the clothes company together? Did you? So it makes sense that when he, and I don't even understand how Tariq remains a blue check. How? All the stuff you say, how much trouble you get into, how do you even maintain that? Now, watch, I wake up in the morning and get a blue check just because I said that. But I'm just saying, how do you maintain that? All this race soldier stuff, you said some awful stuff. All the people at this foundational Black American meetup. You know, we're talking about, like, when you look at Boyce and other people that is Pan-Africanist, we all black, that's undermines reparations. So what is happening here? You have to ask yourself, what's really going on? Somebody told me that Tariq got up something to say, he got up something from the ADOS DMV to say, they got a membership form. That's what chapters do. They have members because they're going to work for something specific. They're not just going to finesse people and run off with the bag. I could write a book on what Tariq doesn't know about politics. But the last thing I just want to say before I go to break is that regardless of how you feel about me or how I feel about you Tariq supporters, y'all deserve better than this. This man should give y'all a conference, a 2-day conference with $120K, and he's still accepting payments. A 2-day conference. And he should give you what he promised you. FBA was supposed to be a copycat of ADOS. That's not